The mob's fatal BBQ, when the feds gatecrashed the Mafia's secret empire, the uninvited guests. What if I told you that on a crisp autumn day in 1957, the most powerful crime lords in America, men who controlled empires of vice from Vegas neon to New York docks, gathered for a barbecue that would shatter their invisible kingdom? Picture over 100 suited kingpins, cigars in hand, plotting in a rural hideaway, only for the law to descend like a thunderclap, sending them scrambling through thorny woods like rats from a sinking ship. Was this the mob's undoing, or just the spark that ignited a federal war on La Cosa Nostra? Who tipped off the cops, and what secrets died in the chaos? Strap in, shadow hunters, because we're tailing the ghosts of Apalachin, a detective yarn where luxury Cadillacs meet muddy ditches, and arrogance meets ambush in the ultimate botched summit, the shadowy call to arms, summoning the Dons. Our thriller kicks off in the blood-soaked wake of 1957's mob upheavals. Albert Anastasia, the ruthless Lord High Executioner of Murder, Inc., lies riddled with bullets in a Manhattan barber chair on October 25th, his brains splattered across the mirrors in a hit orchestrated by Vito Genovese and Carlo Gambino to seize power. The Commission, the Mafia's shadowy Supreme Council, is in turmoil. Territories up for grabs, heroin pipelines from Sicily threatened, Vegas casinos and labor unions hanging in the balance. Enter Joseph Joe the Barber. Barbara, a low-profile Buffalo mobster with a sprawling 58-acre estate in sleepy Apalachin, New York. 625 McFall Road, a fortress of stone walls and pine trees perfect for discretion. Barbara, a former bootlegger turned Apalachin kingpin, hosts the summit on November 14, 1957, under the guise of a casual cookout. Invites go out via encrypted whispers, Vito Genovese, the ambitious Don Vitone eyeing the throne, Carlo Gambino, the sly Sicilian with a hook nose and a killer's calm, Joseph Profassi, olive oil baron and Colombo family founder, Russell Bufalino, the quiet Don from Pennsylvania with Hollywood ties, later immortalized in The Irishman. Even Santo Trafficante Jr. from Florida's gambling dens. Over 100 arrive in gleaming limos, Cadillacs, Lincolns, parking in rows like a gangster convention. Inside, the air reeks of garlic and cigars as they huddle, divvying up Anastasia's rackets, quashing beefs from the Castellammare's war remnants, and plotting against upstarts. Deals are sealed with brandy toasts, no paper trails, just oaths that bind like blood. But paranoia simmers. Why so many out-of-towners booking local motels? Little do they know, a nosy state trooper is already circling. The tip-off, a laundry truck and a hunch. Enter our detective hero, Sergeant Edgar D. Croswell of the New York State Police, a sharp-eyed lawman with a nose for trouble. Days before, Croswell spots Barbara's son, reserving blocks of rooms at the Parkway Motel in nearby Vestal, suspicious for a quiet town of 1-300. Then, a laundry truck delivers starched shirts by the dozen, and luxury cars start flooding the roads. Croswell's gut screams foul. He'd busted Barbara before for bootlegging and knew his ties to the Underworld. On November 14th, he stakes out the estate with Trooper Vincent Vasisco, binoculars trained on the barbecue pit where steaks sizzle but no one's eating. By afternoon, the jig's up. Croswell radios for backup, setting up a roadblock on the only exit road, McFall Road's winding lane. As bosses mingle, debating Genovese's bid for boss of bosses, sirens wail. Panic erupts. It's a raid. Tires screech as limos reverse, but the blockade holds. Over 60 are cornered, IDs checked, stories probed. Genovese claims he's just visiting a sick friend. Gambino mutters about a social call, but their pockets bulge with cash, $300,000 in total, and no one explains the arsenal of guns stashed in trunks. The sensational twist, these untouchables worth millions in rackets get booked on vagrancy, a slap on the wrist charge for lacking legitimate employment. Yet the haul exposes the Mafia's web. Bosses from 14 states, linked to everything from narcotics to labor extortion. If this peek into the mob's crumbling castle has you gripping your seat, join the chase. Subscribe to @BehindVeil Truths on YouTube. We're unearthing more underworld truths, one shadow at a time, with our growing crew of 10K sleuths. The Great Escape. Suits in the Swamp. Here's where the thriller turns farce with a deadly edge. As troopers close in, chaos reigns. Wise guys bolt from Barbara's mansion like spooked deer. Picture Gambino, 55 and portly, crashing through brambles in his $500 suit, wingtips sinking in mud. Trafficante sheds his shoes to sprint faster, hiding in a chicken coop amid squawking hens. Profasi, the olive oil tycoon, tumbles into a ditch, emerging thorn-scratched and humiliated. One boss caught in the woods claims he's birdwatching with a .38 revolver in his pocket. 6 don't make it. Heart attacks strike amid the frenzy. Barbara himself suffers one, dying in 1959 from the stress. While exposure claims others in the November chill, the Fed sees 58 on site, parading them for mugshots that splash across headlines. Mafia summit busted. Photos showed disheveled dons, ties askew, egos shattered. But the escapees? Legends grow. Some hitchhike home, others vanish into the night, fueling myths of underground tunnels at Barbara's estate, later debunked. The raid's haul, wallets stuffed with $100 bills, diamond rings, and business cards linking to casinos and unions. It's the mob's comic tragic Waterloo, arrogance exposed in muddy footprints. The reckoning, Hoover's wake-up call, and the mob's slow bleed. Dawn breaks on a mob in disarray. J. Edgar Hoover, FBI director who'd scoffed at Mafia as Italian folklore, preferring commie hunts, faces a media storm. No such thing as organized crime, he'd claimed. But Apalachin's mugshot parade proves otherwise. Congress erupts. The McClellan Committee, 1957-59, grills survivors, with turncoats like Joe Valachi spilling La Cosa Nostra secrets in 1963 televised hearings. Apalachin births the myth-busting era. FBI ramps up wiretaps, leading to the 1970 RICO Act that treats mobs like enterprises, not lone wolves. Genovese, nailed in 59 on narcotics, dying in prison in 69, Gambino ascends as boss of bosses. But the families fracture, infighting spikes, recruits dry up. Barbara's estate, torched in a suspicious fire months later, erasing evidence. The raid nets no big convictions, appeals overturn vagrancy, but the exposure is lethal. Public outrage fuels crackdowns, shrinking the mob from 5,000 members in the 50s to under 1,000 today. It's the turning point, arrogance's price tag. The lingering shadows. What secrets escaped the woods? Nearly 70 years later, Apalachin's ghosts whisper, who really tipped Croswell? Rival gangs or a disgruntled insider? Did buried agendas like Genovese's heroin plot die in the raid? And with modern mobs evolving into cyber rackets, is another summit brewing in the digital dark? This isn't closure. It's a fuse, still sizzling. If the thrill of unmasking the mob's botched empire has you hooked, dive deeper with @Behind Veiled Truths on YouTube. Subscribe, hit the bell, and tell us in the comments. What underworld saga should we hunt next? The veil's lifting. Join the pursuit.